As is usual, allow me to start with the contracts for which Cabinet granted its no objections to the awards. I'll start first in the security sector. The supply and installation of hardware, for the metal shark boats. You patrol boats, you would recall that we had acquired metal shark patrol boats, that's the military, to assist in patrolling from the Pomeroon floating base. Additional hardware had to be installed to make those metal shark patrol boats more serviceable, and went to tender for the hardware, mostly communication devices, and award of 31.7 million Guyana dollars. 31.7 million Guyana dollars was granted the no objection. The Ministry of Public Works, this is the Roads Division, the rehabilitation and maintenance of roads in Region 9. Rehabilitation and maintenance of roads in Region 9. 2 lots, Shalton to Crowdar and Masara Road itself. Consolidated, the 2 lots, 80.07 million Guyana dollars. Shalton to Crowdar and the Masara Road. Still dealing with contracts, and this is local government, the procurement of solid waste medium, and that is to be understood as the equipment and the tools used by the local democratic organs and the ministry in discharging its solid waste obligations. We have 3 lots. 1, the skids, the second one, metal barrels, and the 3rd lot, garbage disposal bags. Total, the aggregate 84.9 million Guyana dollars. 84.9 million Guyana dollars. Public Works, we return the Roads Division, and this is rehabilitation and maintenance of roads in Region 9. We probably would need to say maintenance of other roads in Region 9. And here again, we have 3 lots, Siperoni to Kurpakari, Kurpakari to Anai, and Anai to Letem, at an aggregate of 249.3 million Guyana dollars. 249.3 million Guyana dollars. Public Works, and this is in the Sea and River Defense Division, the supply and delivery of boulders at Cane Garden in Leguan. Cane Garden in Leguan, 44.08 million Guyana dollars, 44.08. And then for the Office of the Prime Minister, and these are in the area of utilities, the construction and erection of the main office for the Linden Electricity Company, LECI, Linden Electricity Company, and that would be at a cost of 51.39 million Guyana dollars. 51.39 million Guyana dollars. Ministry of Culture, the completion of the construction of the clubhouse and the pavilion, and this is at the Lenora Community Center ground, at the Lenora Community Center ground, at a cost of 54.9 million Guyana dollars. 54.9 million Guyana dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, those were the contracts for which Cabinet granted its no objection to the awards. Convening Parliament, confounding parliamentary fundamentals. The intention of the Speaker of the National Assembly to personally convene a sitting of the National Assembly is profoundly inconsistent with parliamentary fundamentals. That view was adopted by Cabinet at its most recent meeting of Tuesday, October the 28th, 2014. Cabinet's position was adopted after fairly lengthy discussion on the intention that had been announced publicly by the Speaker to convene a sitting of the National Assembly on Thursday, the 6th of November coming. Cabinet, in its discussion, noted the inconsistencies of the Speaker's positions on the matter of convening Parliament. The Speaker is on record to have adopted different positions when asked to pronounce on this same topic of convening Parliament. The Speaker is on record recognizing the government's unique power to convene, and Cabinet was advised about disclosures arising from investigations, perusal of parliamentary practices elsewhere in applicable jurisdictions that on the whole conformed the government's power to convene Parliament. Convening Parliament, Cabinet thus insisted was essentially a preserve of central government. The Speaker, in abandoning those fundamentals, indeed had opened himself to significant criticism about his application of the parliamentary rules and regulations. Cabinet, acting, of course, in accordance with those same fundamentals, motivated by its commitment to the role of Parliament as the deliberative body in parliamentary democracies, continued its examination of the date for convening Parliament, the National Assembly, and Cabinet concluded that, consistent with its obligations, it would be making a decision very soon, technically speaking, before the end of this week. The co-relocation of the Kitty Health Center. Since the abandonment of the Kitty Market facility by the Georgetown City Council, Kitty has been without a replacement health center with comparable design and services. Comparable design and services. Those who know would recall the decade-long provision of health services for outpatients and ambulatory care at the top flat of the Kitty Market. Kitty residents have since then had their ambulatory and outpatient needs addressed at a variety of locations, the most recent rental premises, a view that the Ministry of Health insists is unsustainable. The Ministry of Health has brought to Cabinet's attention for its consideration the relocation of the health center to the premises of the Kitty Post Office, and the project that is proposed, supported by both the Post Office Corporation and the Ministry of Health, and yesterday gained Cabinet's approval, was to have both facilities, both services provided under one roof. The Kitty Post Office would be dismantled, and the Ministry of Health Center would be relocated to this single unified structure at Kitty at the Pike and Alexander Street location. Both services being offered to residents of Kitty under one roof. The Cabinet decision would see during construction, the postal services in Kitty being carried out at the neighboring, adjoining Campbellville Post Office. And the $60 million for the completion of the joint facilities being met by it is proposed being met by the Post Office Corporation and rental by the Ministry of Health being provided to offset those costs. It is expected that the construction work would begin in fiscal 2014 and extend into 2015. Cabinet snippets. Public consultations, Guyana's Ebola preparedness. Guyana is ramping up its Ebola preparedness and adopting measures. One, to keep the dreaded disease off the shores of Guyana. Two, if, heavens forbid, that were not possible and the infection, the disease arrives here, the implementation of a menu of measures comprehensive enough to assure the health of Guyanese in confronting this disease. And thirdly, to collaborate with neighboring states, particularly Suriname and Brazil, with CARICOM countries, and with international bodies to coordinate responses to Ebola. President Ramatara had earlier addressed the nation on Guyana's preparedness at that particular point in time. Subsequently, the state and government actors, had made formal presentations to President Ramatara about their measures of preparedness against Ebola infection in Guyana. It is now planned to extend the involvement and the awareness of these preparedness measures to non-state actors. To that extent, in that regard, Cabinet has agreed to host the stakeholders forum, and that would be done formally, a briefing on Thursday, October the 30th, 2014, in the Cabinet room at the office of the President at 4:30 p.m. The President will host that briefing, and at that briefing, NGOs, members of civil society, and the body politic would be invited to participate. Ladies and gentlemen, those are the matters I wanted to bring to your attention, and I would be prepared now to respond to questions on my opening statement, and also, time being on our side, to respond questions, clarifications on matters of topical interest to you, the members of the media.
May we proceed with the questions by first identifying yourself and media house? Is there anyone who would like to go first? Okay, well, I guess we can take them in no particular order. Whether you want to start with outside.
So I suppose I'll start with news. I have a two-part question for you, Dr. Luncheon. First of all, how does the government respond to AFC's call for the Attorney General to resign from his post in light of the release of this recorded conversation? And secondly, how does the government plan to deal with the issue and the contents that the recording contains?
Well, I would say one thing. The discussion that took place at Cabinet surrounding this issue may have indeed been of interest to the media and to the public at large. However, information has been provided, and until we have clarified this issue, the information about legal action being filed where this matter is concerned has ordinarily aroused the notion of this matter being sub judice until we are advised differently. I would plead your understanding that we would be unable to discourse publicly on the matter on those grounds, sub judice.
Not even what the AFC is asking for?
Not even that. I think that in our efforts to be correct, the advice is being sought on the application of that principle where it comes to the government's official pronouncements on this matter.
Is there any other
Just
questions?
a issue of clarification on your opening statement. You made mention of the Kitty Health Center.
Yeah.
Could you say whether or not where the health center is currently located, if it's in operation? I'm not sure.
No, the Kitty Health Center that is located at rental premises
Sandy.
on Sandy Bob Street, just a little bit above the Alexander Street junction with Sandy Bob Street, is functioning. But as I said, the Ministry of Health's contention that this is an unsustainable proposition, and in essence, services comparable to what historically has been offered, and further comparatively to what is being offered elsewhere, has motivated this demand, this search for other premises. And this is where the co-relocation of the Ministry of health center to the Post Office Corporation premises, it is in that context that the matter was brought to cabinet.
Is there anyone else with a question?
Yes, sir, who was the contractor? Who was the contractor?
For what?
For the KTL, we will readily have.
I am not in the habit of disclosing that information. I'm certain that it can be made available from the National Procurement and Tender Administration.
Can you say when?
Hold on, is there anyone else who would like to ask a question? Okay, go ahead,
Can
Zolston.
you say when the move is likely to be made to that location? Is there a time frame?
The expectation is construction would begin this year. Construction would continue into next year, 2015, and be concluded hopefully by the time of the second quarter. But construction activities, the dismantling of the current post office building and the site rehabilitation, that would commence in 2014.